Back, Truth Seeker. It is another day in the land of rituals, the United States of America, and one of the big news stories this morning actually took place yesterday. Yesterday we were all distracted with the national alert, but Joe Biden, they made some moves to continue Donald Trump's border wall. And of course, once upon a time, Joe Biden said, number one, I'm never going to build another foot of that border wall. And now here we are in the middle of his administration, and they're going to build the wall. And again, I mean, this is par for the course with politicians. What they say is usually the opposite of what happens. And it doesn't matter what political party it is, right or left. And again, like we're educating about day after day, it's ritual after ritual. And I want people to understand it's no accident that Joe Biden's administration announced the continuation of the wall on October 4th, the day leaving 88 days left in the year, and also the day that's 47 days before his upcoming birthday. If you're new here, those numbers have a lot to do with Washington, D.C., they have a lot to do with government and history, and they have a lot to do with Donald Trump, who's the father of the border wall. Again, the man who was called president-elect in the early hours of November 9th, the day of the fall of the Berlin Wall, where, again, Ronald Reagan said, tear down that wall, Mr. Gorbachev. And then Donald Trump ran on Ronald Reagan's mega, but then wanted to build a wall. And day after day, these are riddle after riddle, and America's not catching on. We're being played for fools. I've attached this video and asked the channels Anomaly and High Impact Flicks to watch it. They're two guys who once had a debate about what was going on in the world. And they're both well-spoken men, and what they have in common is they both just ride in the mainstream. They don't talk ever, seemingly, about the history of this nation and the secret societies. Again, D.C. is known as the Masonic City, named after George Washington, the Freemason. And again, I just don't understand how people can ignore the history of secrecy and ritualism unless they're part of it. And that's their job, to be here and keep people just believing in the mainstream and ignoring things that they need to be aware of. Anomaly, he's preaching a game right now that he's woken up. He finally realizes Donald Trump is a puppet, and now he's telling all of his people to vote for Ron DeSantis, which shows that he hasn't really woken up. He's still preaching politics. You know, if you guys don't know who he is, he's a little bit younger than me. He made a big name for himself in the last election cycle because he's a rapper, and he had a song called I Like Trump that went viral in the Trump support community. Made a lot of money off that song, got a lot of fame off that song, got a lot of interviews off that song. And now he hates Donald Trump, and he thinks Donald Trump's changed. It's just because he's getting older and wiser, seemingly. Nothing's changed with Donald Trump. He's the same actor fraud he's been the whole time that we've been exposing from day one. And again, the thing also about Brian and High Impact Flicks is they're both very much aware of my work, but they won't talk about it. And if I go in Brian's chat, you know, I'll always catch his eye and be like, oh, there's that guy. I think he has a man crush on me. Why does he care if I don't share his work? It's like, dude, the point of sharing my work, and what's funny is like Brian talks out both sides of his mouth. On one say, he'll say, man, people are getting censored and we got to stand up for them and help them get the. And it's like, okay, so you say those things, but then here's somebody who's probably been deleted more than anyone, myself, and you can't help share the work as much as big tech's working to keep the message down. And he's another guy who says we got to come together and rally and organize. And remember, when we went to Oklahoma City, pretty much where he lives, it was the first time ever he did like a live stream on the streets of America, and he did it in Las Vegas, showing about the Trump Tower. And it was like, did he do that? Did he go to Las Vegas to make it seem like he had an excuse to not be out there with us on the anniversary of Oklahoma City? And of course, Brian did a video on what happened to me while I was in Oklahoma City. You know, he covered how the security guards were waiting for me. And so he was watching, but he can't share the knowledge. And in fact, he tried to attack the knowledge by making fun of Russian vids, and one of Russian vids broke ass decodes, who's another, won't even get into him. But then Anomaly's the same thing. If I'm in his chat, he'll be like, "Oh, that guy's in here who thinks his work's so important. Yeah, I'm not gonna entertain that because I don't like that guy. I don't like his personality." It's like, dude, if you think my work is insignificant and you're in the right for promoting politics, and now you think you've awakened, you're awake now because you realize Donald Trump's a fraud, but you think it's Ron DeSantis is the hero and that's who people should be supporting, dude, you're sound asleep. If you're not some agent plant, then you're not awake, and you need to wake up. And I'll show you what it looks like to be awake. I'll play my video from when I was younger than you now, from February of 2016, and how I laid out the future, as we've laid out a million times on here. So don't be leaving comments like, "Oh yeah, he thinks his work's so important." The work I'm doing is important. You know? He calls himself legendary. What's legendary that what you've done? Seriously, what's legendary? Falling for all the political traps? I mean, come on, man. Anyway, let's talk about the border wall ritual on the day leaving 88 days left in the year, the anniversary of the Joker movie, when Donald Trump refers to himself as Batman. It's another joke on the American people. Again, Biden to continue Trump's border wall, October 4th, the day leaving 88 days left in the year, 47 days before Biden's birthday. Gematria, what these secret society types use every day. Again, you study the secret societies, you find a lot of it has to do with Kabbalah, Hermeticism, these ancient teachings. Kabbalah's Book of Formation says God created the world with numbers, letters, and words. And this little code of ABC is 1, 2, 3. Also running the alphabetic order in reverse. The name Trump forwards is 88, in reverse it's 47. What are the odds that it could even possibly line up this way if you didn't have the perfect puppets in there? But think about how perfect it is, right? And as we've said many times, border walls 47. Take the alphabetic order in numerology, border walls 47. Again, the 47 list. Joe Biden was once the 47th vice president who took office with 47-year-old Obama. Biden was in Washington, D.C. as a senator for 47 years before he became president-elect. Trump said he'd done more in 47 months than Biden had done in 47 years. And just this was after a million other 47 rituals that have continued to happen since and way before. Again, D.C.'s the land of 47, where the Mason George Washington laid the cornerstone on a date with 47 numerology. Like this nation's birthday is the 4th day of the 7th month. And the short 47 list in Gematria is president, White House, government, authority, Republican, Whig, Democrat. And yeah, they are different ciphers, but they're all based on the alphabetic order. Forwards, backwards, forwards and backwards with numerology. Again, you can't make anything equal anything with 4 different ciphers. This is a system. This is the way the language is encoded. In Kabbalah, they use, or in Hebrew, Gematria, they use 14 different ciphers to line up their things. We're just showing how based on the alphabetic order, forwards and backwards, it's all like this, and why they keep doing this. The other day, they funded the government for 47 more days. 47-year-old Jamal Bowman pulled the fire alarm during the vote when fire alarm equals 47. Kevin McCarthy gets replaced on National Kevin Day by a 47-year-old. This is going on day after day in the land of D.C., where when you just run the alphabetic order in reverse, the letters D.C. are 47. You know what I mean? Again, Lincoln, who made the Whig Party into the Republican Party, who said 77 years ago. He could have just said 87 years ago. He didn't say 87. They got to speak in numbers. Numbers are language. The 4th book of the Bible's numbers. Anyway, Donald Trump, Mr. Wall, Mr. 47. What a ritual, right? And again, just to go back down memory lane, you could also say, instead of saying 47 days before Biden's birthday, you could say that from the day that his administration did that to his birthday, that's a total span of 48 days. And recall where 48 fits in with the whole wall thing. Here, let's go back through it. I'll type all this out so people can see it with their own eyes. But in Gematria, Donald Trump's 48, like Hollywood, like Illuminati, like Freemason. Remember, the Illuminati founded May 1st, 1776 by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. Part of the plan to infiltrate pretty much everything, including Freemasonry. George Washington, if you guys don't know this, George Washington has a letter penned about his concerns about the Illuminati infiltrating Freemasonry. He was a part of the Freemason network. Mark Passio, who another guy I'm really not that sure about, but who does put out good information. He talks about how Freemasonry was hijacked. Once upon a time, it had righteous intentions. It's possible. But anyway, Illuminati 48, like Freemason, they're the builders. Cleveland's 48. Remember, Trump had his convention in Cleveland in 2016. LeBron James 48. Right after Trump wins president-elect, LeBron James is doing the show The Wall. The word wall equals 48. Matt Damon comes out with a movie right after Trump becomes president on the 48th day of the year called The Great Wall. The wrestler Jericho at age 48 was doing his big ritual the day Trump's talking about his border wall. In the Bible, Jericho, the wall, blows down the wall, trumpets, the Trump-Pence ticket. Who told you when Trump-Pence became president-elect how it was going to be all biblical? And then what they did with the pandemic and 666 days after the simulation and how you had to wear the mask, a letter off from Mark, and get jabbed up when vaccination has the Sumerian Gematria 666. Again, it's a damn shame that more people aren't helping raise awareness about what's going on and how this knowledge is being used every single day to mock us. Undeniably. But here, all the 48s. Donald Trump, 48, right? Wall, 48. Illuminati, 48. Remember the day that the Patriots were at the White House to be celebrated for the rigged Super Bowl? Aaron Hernandez was found dead in his jail cell, and the TMZ headline was that the word Illuminati was written in blood on the wall. Here, Freemason, 48. Again, Trump's convention in Cleveland. And Cleveland, if you watch the Cavs, the line in that city is right down Euclid. Right down Euclid, because the avenue's there. The 47th problem, the 47th problem of Euclid. That's a big thing studied by the Masons. And Cleveland's in Ohio, and Ohio's one of two states that equals 47 in the most simple cipher. The other's Nevada, and you might recall back when it was Hillary versus Trump, those were the two states that the debates were in, when Trump was the winner, right? But again, here, Donald Trump, 48, Wall, 48, Cleveland, 48, when spelled correctly, James, 48, LeBron James, and then LeBron's doing the show The Wall, Matt Damon, again on the 48th day of the year, and Illuminati and Freemason, which we just covered in that list. The release date of the Great Wall, biblical, right? Here, look at Mike Pence. You see how forwards and backwards with numerology it's 45? Forwards and backwards 45. Mike Pence also 81 like President Trump, just like President Biden, who supposedly got 81 million votes, and how this whole ritual synced up with his 81st birthday. Again, it's 47 days from his upcoming 81st birthday, and the wall is also 81. It's also 27, and remember, Berlin Wall's 45. Donald Trump called the 45th president-elect on the 27th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. And again, he's got the mail order bride wife from that part of the world, and he's got all the parallels with Grover Cleveland. And again, the election, Trump's trying to do what nobody's done except for Grover Cleveland, and next year the election is going to happen while he's 78 years old, like how his 2016 convention was there. That's the whole thing about this anomaly guy. He's talking about this so much right now, and he's talking about like it's real. Like, man, Trump needs to drop out because he's old and he's lost his message. And yeah, maybe people don't like DeSantis because he's not as fun and entertaining, but man, he's so much more truthful and honest. It's sad to listen to anybody talk like this at this day and age about our totally bullshit and so obviously bullshit political system that really makes a fucking joke out of us every day. And this guy calls himself a rapper. To me, if you're a rapper, you got to have that battle rapper spirit mentality. If somebody, he says he doesn't want to debate with me because I've said some things about him that he doesn't like. He's all sensitive about that. It's dude, you should want to step up on the stage then and defend your name. Yeah, the reason in the past I've said it seems like you're a fraud is because it seems like you're a fraud. Show me how you're not a fraud. Why is Roseanne Barr having you on? And why is that little Indian twerp from the pharmaceutical industry that Fox News is raving about every night, who might be Donald Trump's running man? His cousins are all in Seattle building the surveillance state right now. Why are these people going on with you? Again, you look like such a plant. Come on and defend your name. These people, the thing is, from Brian to him, they'll debate each other because they're both in the same lane. You know, they're both in the mainstream. They're not bringing anything new to light. And they're just trying to sound so well-spoken and articulate and well-put with some little catchy one-liners. The one thing I got to give Brian credit for, though, is he's not always saying, "Aren't I so funny? Aren't I funny?" If you guys have ever watched Anomaly, he's always saying, "Aren't I funny? I'm a funny person." It's like, dude, people who are funny don't constantly say, "I'm funny." You know, they make people laugh. Something that's never happened when I was watching your channel. I think, man, this guy's from that generation of emasculated, super soft dudes that the Illuminati's been breeding left and right, getting softer by the day. Anyway, don't forget, President Biden and President Trump are a perfect overlap. Biden's from Jesuit town, Scranton, Pennsylvania. They're both Jesuit educated. Jesuit Order 72, like both of their names, like the 72 names of God in Kabbalah, like the 72 demons in the Goetia. Again, Biden's from Scranton, where Interstate 81 runs through, supposedly got 81 million votes. And now the wall synced up with his 81st birthday. How it all comes together, you know? The perfect puppets sacrificing their wives in the same types of rituals by the same Jesuit code, which is provable all day. Not to mention Trump's brother recently died on the Jesuit order's birthday, and it's sick, man. It is sick. Ron DeSantis in Florida doing all the Jesuit rituals down there, playing good cop, bad cop. Again, you learn the knowledge we're talking about, you can actually see what's going on and why this is the news this day and why this is the news that day. But look at it. I mean, Berlin Wall, 45. What are the odds that number 40? And why has nobody helped share this? Is there anybody who has a platform that ever helped share what we showed about Donald Trump being called president-elect in the early hours of November 9th and the commercial from 7 years earlier where he's talking to digital sheep with 11 and 9s on them, standing on pillars? Donald Trump was part of the 9/11 story as well. Berlin Wall, September 11th, the two 9/11 dates, the dates that changed the world, 20th century, 21st century. 27 years to the day again. 27 years to the day, Donald Trump is called president-elect. Just look at the ritual numbers. Ritual 81 forwards and backwards. 27 and 45 forwards and backwards with numerology. By the way, Berlin Wall, if you run it the other way, is 63. 2016 is the 63rd triangular number. The Prophet Muhammad dead at age 63. Muhammad Ali dead in that year on 6/3. Something we predicted. Why? Again, years before it happened, we predicted why Muhammad Ali would die in 2016. R.I.P. And yeah, October 4th, the day the Joker movie came out. And we were talking about back then how it was all synced up with Trump. And then this year, Donald Trump's in court in New York as they're filming the new Joker scene there. And what was I saying in the video? Point out all this past history and why Donald Trump said, "I am Batman," and where Batman goes back to Skull and Bones, how it's all related, and what it had to do with Trump's age at the time, and what it had to do with the death of Heath Ledger. Again, Donald Trump was in court on the day that Heath Ledger, who died while portraying Joker, would have turned 44 years old. Trump was in court on April 4th, 4/4, the day Heath Ledger would have turned 44. And Trump was the 44th person to be president. He was number 45, but the 44th person to be president because of Grover Cleveland's split term. And, you know, also when that movie came out, Joaquin Phoenix was 44 years old. Then all these years later, the same thing. And what else were we pointing out? How Donald Trump at that time was synced up with Nikola Jokic, the Joker of the Nuggets, and how it looked like it could be the Nuggets' year to win the finals, only for them to win it in a massive Skull and Bones ritual on George Herbert Walker Bush's birthday. Again, that was number 41, like Skull and Bones is 41, like how Nikola Jokic was the 41st pick of the draft, like how the Nuggets outscored Miami by 41 points in the series. But yeah, these politicians, man, I mean, it's always like this. Let's listen to what Joe said about building the wall and how he wouldn't.
No, there will not be another foot of wall constructed in my administration, number one.
Say it one more time.
No, there will not be another foot of wall constructed in my administration, number one. Number two, what I'm going to focus on, the fact is that somebody in this group written a lot about the border.
And I mean, just the rest of that, too. It's just like, I mean, all these characters that they give us year after year. You know, I actually heard I was watching one of Anomaly streams recently. I haven't tuned into him for a while, but he was talking about how they give us these characters to keep us trapped in the game. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Is he getting it? Is he done with politics? And the next thing I know, he's talking about how we all need to support Ron DeSantis. I was like, okay, so he thinks, I don't know what he thinks actually. That's why we need to have a conversation. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? What do you think? You're talking about how they put characters in there to keep people divided and distracted, but then you're telling people to support the next election? What? It's just like, God. I get annoyed because these people's message sucks. It's what's wrong with the world. They're helping people stuck in the matrix. You know, they sound like they're talking half a good game. You know, it just gets frustrating. And to credit to Brian, I know Brian's channels have been getting taken down, and it seems like he's gotten so sick of getting censored that all he covers now is cop videos. And Brian, just like I asked you when you came on my stream, I said, what's your real motivation to be here? Is it to change the world and wake people up, or is it to make a buck off selling t-shirts and hats and all the stuff that you sell? In time of COVID, he was selling masks while talking about how, dumb people were for wearing masks. It's like people are buying masks from his website. I can't even make sense of who's following this guy. But, again, Brian's like giving up on the message of speaking out against all the corruption in the world and is now just doing rating videos about cops. 3 years ago, you were talking about how bad it is. Now we need to come together and do something. Then we tried to come together and do something, and you bounced to Las Vegas. Oh, I don't want to work with Zach. And that was the same thing, too. Last year when I got back from New York City, he made a video trying to make me look bad. So it's like, who are these people? How come you didn't show your audience what we did in New York City and how we turned heads and made people stop on the street and listen? You guys remember Building 7, the building that fell 7 hours later in New York City that was 47 floors tall? The Solomon Brothers building, like Solomon's Temple, which is so important to the Masons who study the 47th problem of Euclid, which has to do with, construction and squaring angles. And that's why the cornerstone was laid for DC on a date with 47 numerology, September 18th, 1793. Here, just about the 48 thing. Again, Chris Jericho was 48 years old by signing with this wrestling league on the same day that Trump was giving his border wall speech. And again, Donald Trump's part of wrestling history. Donald Trump in the ring with Vince McMahon. I might have forgot to say about Mike Pence equaling 45 forwards and backwards. So does Holy Bible. Holy Bible's 45 forwards and backwards. That's why we said it was going to be all biblical rituals when Trump got in there, and it was, one after the next. And again, Jericho, the wall, Jericho, the story in the Bible. Like we're being mocked. Like they're playing with people who don't know anything about anything. Jericho's full name, by the way, 134, like Make America Great Again. Like a lot of things. There's a huge long list with 134 and Donald Trump. It's not just that. House of Cards, remember the hit show with Kevin Spacey? Running at the same time we get Donald Trump, like how Trump cards come from tarot. But, yeah, and just the way Jericho overlaps with Trump. Remember back when Trump was a child in 1958, like how Trump won the 58th presidential election. Again, these things are important here. For those of you guys who just want one cipher here, so much of the work just comes back to this cipher right here. Again, Holy Bible, Berlin Wall, both 45 in this cipher. Again, both 45 right there, like Mike Pence. But Donald Trump announced he was running for the 58th U.S. presidential election from the 58-story Trump Tower. Freemasonry's 58. Secret Society's 58. Rosicrucian's 58. King James was a Freemason and Rosicrucian, dead at age 58. If you run the alphabetic order in reverse, Biblical's also 58. But again, all the secrets for these societies are in Solomon's Temple, which is 58. Again, what happened on 9/11 with the Solomon Brothers building, 47 floors falling last. Donald Trump's interview, a big part of the history of that day. Just like how Donald Trump was asked by Oprah in '88 what he thought about running for president one day. And there's that episode of Suddenly Susan that came out on May 8th where Trump's the president of the United States way more years before he was president. Just how foreshadowed all of this was. But in 58, and if I didn't say so, The Apprentice, that's the first degree of Freemasonry. The Apprentice is the first degree of Freemasonry. So we see Donald Trump as this authoritarian through The Apprentice before he becomes president. Joe Biden in Scranton, where The Office was filmed. That's his hometown. And again, I'm sure you know about why it ran 201 episodes and what happened to his wife and daughter and his son all in 201 rituals. And why Inauguration Day is on the 201st day of the year, 20/1, in the Jesuit stronghold. Again, the Jesuits made modern Freemasonry. But this show about a con man named Trump who wants to build a wall in Texas came out in 58. In 1958. And let's not forget that Inauguration Day was also January 20th, 2017, that year, a date with 58 numerology. Annuit coeptus on our dollar bills is another 58. And when you think of Trump, you think of money. And there's the ad with Trump for Serta mattresses. You got to be a sheep asleep, talking to sheep 11 and 9 in the same suit and tie he was wearing for selection night. But yeah, if you don't know about this episode of Trackdown, where the con man Trump builds a wall in Texas, the director of it is Donald McDougal. Donald McDougal equals 138, like Donald Trump, like Federal, like Nationals, who won the World Series 138 days after Trump's birthday when he hired the 58-year-old Steve Ray for Inauguration Day, something we saw coming well before it did. And yeah, there's a lot of things that are interesting about it. The judge in the episode is Judge Clement, which is 119, just like how it's set in the town of Talpa, Texas, which is 119. Remember what day Donald Trump was announced as president-elect? The 11th month, the 9th day, the anniversary of the fall of the wall. Trackdown, for the record's another 134. Again, this came out while Trump was a child, and we're talking about how these guys were born and bred to be. George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump all happen to be born in 46, that special year to the Catholics that run this nation. 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament. The first Catholic president, JFK, smoked at age 46. Joe Biden, like we told everybody a year in advance, would become number 46 in the election exactly 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday when he sacrificed Joe Biden Jr. at age 46. 201 days before the Pope's birthday. First Jesuit Pope, first to live in Suite 201. That episode, it came out 37 days before Trump's birthday as a child. 37 days before his 12th birthday, in fact, and 37's the 12th prime number, and Trackdown's 37. Again, most pure cipher. You know, these posts are from a long time ago. The numbers don't change. This is how big the wall joke is. That's how they can get two puppets in there and line up all the rituals for then another 4 years of administrations, because this stuff was planned out a long time ago. They had a long time to write the script that everyone's fighting over. How come more people in the world don't know about this? Because people who could have helped out chose not to. And they probably chose not to because of their financial interests, which is why they got that secret society symbolism all over dollar bills. And like I said to Brian that day he came on the show, I said, I could be wrong, but my hunch is you're here for money. You're not really here to change anything. He didn't have an argument against that. He just got mad. He said, you sell a book. How come what's any different? I said, well, the first 5 years I was here and working my ass off every day, I didn't have a book. And I didn't raise any money. I didn't have any ads. I didn't sell anything. Just was trying to prove that the world needs to change. People need to wake up to what's going on because we're being taken to a really bad place. There's never a day that Brian's been here where he wasn't advertising shit. And I don't know about Anomaly's whole history. I know about Brian's whole history. I don't know if Anomaly's been selling shit from day one, but he makes a big point in every video to sell his stuff. And he's always like, man, you guys, my shirts are the very best shirts I've ever seen. My sweatshirts are the very best sweatshirts I've ever seen. My beanies with God bless are the very best beanies I've ever seen. How come he doesn't have like 10 haters making videos about him every day about how he's a con man salesman? I got people doing that to me every day, and I'm not even hardly selling shit. I'm giving away my book for free. Have been giving away for free the whole time I've had it out. You know, I never seen these guys out in front of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation handing out shit for free, trying to get crowds there to wake people up to agendas. We were there right after they declared the pandemic. We were there at ground zero, trying to wake people up to Event 201 and what was simulated right before the pandemic was declared. I never seen these guys out giving away anything, doing anything. Till recently, I never saw Brian's channel get deleted, but his stuff's been getting deleted lately. So it makes me think that Brian's not a shill. It makes me think he's just a guy who wants to stay in his lane and, make some bucks while talking a good game. It's sad, man. It's sad that people are so short-sighted. And again, why don't these people have 10 people making videos about them every day? Brian raised $40,000 supposedly for a dying niece, and then did a video about how nicely he remodeled his house right afterwards. It's like, was there really a dying niece? It almost seemed like he was mocking his audience. I can only imagine if I did that. If I said, hey guys, my niece is dying, raised $40,000, and then did a remodel of my house and uploaded it. Oh my God, there would have been so many videos made about it. Just like when a car did crash through my house on Christmas Eve after I got threatened by another popular YouTuber. And then what happened? People didn't come to, and understand, I wasn't raising any money back then. I didn't ask for any donations after that. There wasn't even any way to send me any money. I didn't have any method of online payment. And it never was. But I had all these people coming out saying that it was a fraud and a scam and an insurance scam. And I was just like, no, I'm just showing how the psychopath who just threatened me the other night, now this happened. Just so you guys know what's up over here. Because I'm not on here tomorrow. Who knows? It's just crazy, man. I have so many haters, so many detractors, so many slanderers, which I've had from day one. And then it's obvious that bigger platforms know about the work. They know who I am. Like I remember the first time I went to Anomaly's channel, I didn't even know if he knew who I was. But he's like, oh yeah, that guy's in here. Oh yeah, that guy who thinks his work's so important. It's like, okay, so what? You don't think my work's important? You don't think I'm exposing something? Here, you guys, we've been all year tracking the racist shit they're doing in Alabama with the number 87 all year, right? Paying tribute to the history of slavery and the American Civil War. Now look, here we are now at the end of the year, the day leaving 87 days left in the year, and look at the story. Federal court approves new congressional map in Alabama that would give black voters more political power. Again, here's why it's the day leaving 87 days left in there, you guys. Slavery equals 87, and names like Martin equal 87. And again, you got to know all the ciphers, because all these ciphers matter. American Civil War, which had to do with slavery, broke out on the 102nd day of the year. Slavery in 42, and 42 stamped all over black history in a million different ways, and 30's right there as well, and they've coded on all kinds of figures from history, like Malcolm X is 30 and 42, and so is Martin. But yeah, there's a lot more to it. Remember the subway shooting in New York City on the 102nd day of the year, like the Underground Railroad, and then they said they got the shooter, who was an older black man, 30 hours later. Remember when they said a black homeless man killed a person just for no reason at the 42nd Street subway station in New York around the same time? Remember Tuskegee with the 201 men in the control group? Now they're 42, like Jackie. I mean, what's so hard for people to share this stuff? Because it just goes on every day. Again, go back and see what we've been talking about with 87 in Alabama all year. Here, I'll go back to the first one that happened earlier this year. The nasty tornadoes in Selma, where Martin Luther King Jr. had his march. And again, this happened right before MLK's birthday. And again, that march, once upon a time, was 87 kilometers that Martin led, and Tornado has that gematria of 87, and there's a lot of evidence on the books throughout history about weather warfare and tornadoes, especially down in that part of the country. Again, if you don't know that weather warfare is a real thing, you should look into it. It was first admitted to by the Royal Air Force on August 15th, 1952, the Jesuit Order's birthday. Same day Donald Trump's brother recently died, Robert. But yeah, again, Alabama, Selma, history. Selma's on the 87th Meridian West. And again, this stuff's nothing new. Is been going on. So now we're back in Alabama on the day leaving 87 days left in the year. And again, it's racial. It's history. It's the Confederate States. I just heard Anomaly talking about, like it's silly to think that they're trying to contrive another civil war. No, you're wrong. You don't have enough knowledge or information. You think you're smarter than you are. You really don't really know anything. They are trying to cook up another civil war. It'll probably take them a while to get there, but they're building at it one day at a time. 20 years ago, unfathomable. Today, a lot more realistic. And as time goes on and they keep marching us down the same path, we might just get there. Remember a little before Trump, they put out that show on NBC. I think it was called, I forget the name right now, but it had like the power button, and it was about how a power outage happened in America and the grid went down everywhere, and then essentially racial wars broke out. Amazon recently did a newer movie on that called Lockdown 2025. And then you can go back and look at what we were showing about the Public Enemy album, what you're going to do when the grid goes down, and what that had to do with the history of JFK's weather control speech and how they use weather to take out grids and more. And again, how all of this could be contrived and orchestrated based on the technology and capability of the time. And just the stuff they got to do. Like, look at this article this morning about Alabama. They got the Hugo L. Black Court, right? So it says this picture in front of the Hugo L. Black Court is from August 14th this year. And remember, that was right after the racial brawl by the numbers, right after Trump was in town at hotel number 201. And in Gematria, Hugo L. Black equals 52. And from August 14th to today's news is 52 days later. And remember, government... Here, we were talking about how government's 47, right? When you run it the other way, government's 52, just like authority is. Kabbalah's 52. The Kabbal's 52. Gematria's 52 as well. Again, it's a big number, 52. Earth is 52 like Pope. We're on a 52-week calendar named after a Pope who rules over the earth in the Catholic Church's, doctrination. Big number, 52 cards in the deck, right? But yeah, they gotta, just everything's a perfect ritual, right? It's race, it's Hugo L. Black, it's 52 days later. It's par for the course. And actually here, let me show you Hugo L. Black in light of Kabbalah. You see the 38, 178, 52? Look at Kabbalah, where this whole thing of letters and numbers comes from. 38, 178, 52. If you've never seen that movie Gollum, that's another 52. If you haven't seen that movie, it's about Kabbalah. It's about how Kabbalah is only taught to men, and there's a woman who wants to learn about it, and then she learns about it, and then she learns how to make a golem to fight off their enemies, but then the golem turns on them. And again, it's kind of like the warnings about studying Kabbalah, that, it opens up a can of worms that can be dangerous. And by the way, today's news about Alabama, 13 date numerology, we always call Alabama the 13th state. Once upon a time, Tua, number 13, came in at halftime replacing Jalen Hurts, down 13-0. And then he ended the game with a 41-yard pass from number 13 to number 6, when 41's the 13th prime and 13's the 6th prime, and Nick Saban got his 6th championship to tie Bear Bryant. All things that we called before the season began. But yeah, somehow, some way, people just keep acting like it's not important enough to share this information. And maybe it's a business move, right? Maybe it all comes back to money. They've studied the U.S. market. They know it's not very sharp. It doesn't like numbers. It's not good with math. There's a lot more bread to be made by just keeping it in the mainstream. It's like Jim Hightower. He always say even a fish can swim in the... Even a dead fish can flow with the mainstream. And that was his reason for not being in it. You're not proving anything by being in there. And that's what I'd say to a guy like Anomaly or Brian, who think they're hot shit. Again, you guys are just swimming in the mainstream. Who gives a shit? You're not doing anything. Pretending to do something and maybe making a lot of money from it, but you're not doing anything. At the end of the day, if there is an afterworld and you're judged for your actions, I don't think it's going to come back. I think you guys know you're lying. I think you both know you're frauding. And then you're both trying to make me look like the bad guy. Even scummier. Now, Dianne Feinstein. Today, her funeral at City Hall in San Francisco. Can't get much more Jesuit than San Francisco, other than D.C. Again, the city named after St. Francis of Assisi, who created the Franciscans, the precursor to the Jesuits. But we know how they announced Dianne Feinstein's death on 9/29 and how there's 929 chapters in the Old Testament. And again, that's the Jewish section, and she was Jewish, and she was the first woman mayor of San Francisco, and she was the 38th, which, again, Jew and Kabbalah are 38. But her death was announced in this huge Jewish ritual. And now the funeral is today, 105 days after what her last birthday was, June 22nd, 105 days after her birthday on 10/5. And of course, Bible equals 105. Again, 929 chapters in the Old Testament, everything the biblical code. Holy Bible has gematria of 90. And again, if you're saying, well, how can Bible equal 105? Again, this is the forwards and backwards thing. Bible 105 in reverse, Holy Bible 90 forwards. Okay? And she's dead at 90 in a clear biblical ritual. The Masonry, Illuminati and Masonry, again, the Illuminati founded by a Jesuit. The Jesuits created modern Freemasonry. The teachings of Masonry are based in the Old Testament. Again, Masonry is 105. So is Order of Illuminati. Okay? Who's doing this? Adam Weishaupt was Jewish, right? Like Dianne Feinstein. And let's not forget how another big biblical number, 187 chapters in the Torah, which is the basis of the Abrahamic religions. Abrahamic's 187. Again, Society of Jesus is 187. Holy Roman Empire is 87. Washington, D.C., the land of the Jesuits and Masons, is 187. George Washington is 187, and so on. Big number. Donald Trump, born 187 days from the first Jesuit Pope, Jesuit himself. His convention began in Cleveland in 2016 on 18/7, 187 days from Inauguration Day. And again, Feinstein died on the 187th day of Nancy Pelosi's age, and it goes with Ruth Bader Ginsburg dying 187 days from her birthday on the anniversary of the Cornerstone being laid in D.C. and the anniversary of the CIA being established in a huge Jesuit ritual. It also has a lot to do with this happening right before Gavin Newsom's 56th birthday. Again, the guy who set off the whole pandemic with 56% of California is going to get coronavirus in 8 weeks, which is 56 days, you know? And again, Gavin Newsom in 3 out of the 4 ciphers equals coronavirus. 142, 56, 155, like how the Cladex simulation was 15/5, like how it was all biblical, like Christianity's 155, which teaches about 666, and the Cladex simulation was 666 days before the pandemic was declared. I bet you anything, Brian's watched me talk about that 3, 4, 5, 10, 100 times, never once shared it with his audience. And then he's always trying to get people out of religion and show. That's what Brian talks about. A lot of things that I like about how religion's used to control and manipulate people, and politics is. It's like you would think all of this would be right up his alley. Does he have handlers that say, well, we can only go so far, Brian? That's just not going to be welcome. That's not part of what we want your subscribers to know about. It's giving a little bit too much intel. Do you guys see what happened in India? Deadly flooding in India. And if you read the story, an unprecedented cloudburst just quickly formed and devastated another dam on the Teesta River. And why are we always talking about the same number? Again, weather warfare admitted to in 1952 on the Jesuit order's birthday. And again, if you're new here, look at all these words. Enlil is the Babylonian god of flooding. Or actually, he also has a lot of parallels with the devil. And again, I just want you to see all these words. Again, the Jesuits served the Pope in light of weather warfare first being admitted to on the Jesuit order's birthday, August 15th, 52. But look at Pope, Flood, Earth, Devil, Enlil. They're all 52 in the most simple cipher. They're all 25 with numerology. They're almost all 83 except for Pope. And again, Genesis 8:3 is where the biblical flood ends. And remember when Hawaii got wiped out on the 8th day of March a couple years back? It was a date with 52 numerology, and they said it was the worst flooding in Maui in 25 years. And then exactly 29 months later, Maui burned, and both fire and burn are 38. March 8th can also be written 3-8. But again, just look at all the overlap with those words. Earth, devil, Enlil are the exact same in all four ciphers. God of the Old Testament, the flood, biblical, right? Rituals. Enlil goes back to Babylon, like the Bible. Who's the Horror Babylon? Why does Catholic equal Horror Babylon? Why is it the same damn numbers every time we talk about this stuff? An unprecedented cloud formed and just wiped everything out rapidly. The U.S. military back in the 60s admitted to doing cloud seeding over Vietnam to flood out the Vietnamese. You don't think they could do the same thing in 2023? Everyone's having fun with this. This was going viral yesterday. 104-year-old skydiver in free fall like this nation. Roman Catholic Church 104, everything 104 right now. Taylor Allison Swift 104, a big part of the 104th NFL season. Every wild card game ends on 10-4. Never seen that happen before. They all end on the same day, 10-4. Every year we're showing how they sync up the baseball season and the NFL season. I mean, I'm talking about all the 104 stuff with Baltimore and all the deaths lately, and you know, just the wild card began on the Baltimore Orioles manager's birthday. Go figure. Brooks Robinson just died, whose full name equals 104. But yeah, this woman, her name's Dorothy Hoffner. Perfect overlap with the Jesuit order forwards and backwards. Captain Tom, knighted on July 17th by the Queen. Dead 201 days after being knighted, supposedly from COVID after the Event 201 simulation. 56 days from Maggie Keenan and William Shakespeare being the first vaccinated people in the world, when Maggie Keenan's 56. Then the Queen's dead 201 days after her COVID diagnosis, on a very Catholic day, the Virgin Mary's birthday. Again, just news by the numbers all day, every day. Make sure everybody knows about it on 10-4. Message received. Russia and Ukraine, Russia and the U.S. Maybe Ukraine was doing it too, I don't know. But both Russia and the U.S. on 10-4 are sending everybody messages. You don't think the same number code's applying worldwide? Okay. All right, I'm going to go back and play something. And again, if you guys have not seen this clip, this is from February 24th, 2016. Anomaly, who says he's awake, you know, he realizes Donald Trump's a fraud now, and Ron DeSantis is the guy. Got to get behind Ron DeSantis. Again, come down off your high horse, buddy. Just to compare, I have years on you, and years do bring wisdom and experience, but here's a video from when I was younger than you are now, and I just want you to compare the difference. Here was my level of understanding back on February 24, 2016 about what was coming in the election. Something you're just starting to, get a hint of in 2023, which is, sadly way too little too late. So let's go back and rewind the clock. Let's take it back to February 24, 2016, when I had less wrinkles. Here we go.
Hey, Truth Seekers. Welcome back. Zach here. Today's February 24th, 2016. Next week will be Super Tuesday, the date where several states have their primaries. And after that, it becomes clear who the candidates will be for the Democratic and Republican parties for president. I suspect that after Super Tuesday, we will have our candidates. They will be Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Last year, summer and spring, I made several videos on the election showing what was going on and what was likely to come. Back then, I was leaning towards the fact that the next president would likely be Hillary Clinton, an assumption I held from 2008 after Obama was elected president. Hillary still could become president, but I'm trying to be unbiased, and I'm trying to figure out what makes the most sense in this crazy nation as the next president of the United States. And in brainstorming about that, that is the weirdest shit, Truth Seeker. The light just turned on in here, and there's no way for that light to come on without me hitting the switch. This house I live in, it's crazy. Read my blog. I've talked about how I live in a haunted house. Anyhow, maybe the ghost is telling me I needed more light in here. All right, back to the point. The next president for this nation and why Donald Trump might make the most sense. If you're not aware, the elections are rigged. Who's ever to be the next president is already chosen. So, what we should look at is the direction this nation's heading. Right now, in the time of the Obama presidency, the powers that be, the people who control our government, who rig the elections, who control the media, right now they are working overtime to divide us among race, religion, sex, sexuality, political party, etc. I don't know what's going on with the light, Truth Seeker. It's weird. Never seen it do that before. Anyhow, with regards to the powers that be working to divide us, the candidate that makes the most sense to step into the White House is Donald Trump. Why? Because since he's been getting the mainstream coverage going back to May of 2015, all he's been doing is making divisive remarks against women, against Muslims, against Hispanics, against blacks. Do you remember how at a recent rally of his, there was a Black Lives Matter protester who showed up and was beaten, and Donald Trump made the remark that he deserved it? Just weeks before that, he threw out a Hispanic reporter from Telemundo making racist remarks against Mexicans. And this came on the backs of him accusing Mexicans of being responsible for all the raping in this nation. Do you recall those stories from last summer? Days after making those remarks, we got the story out of San Francisco where an illegal immigrant, supposedly named Juan Francisco Lopez, or maybe it was Juan Francisco Sanchez Lopez, either way, some ridiculous sounding name. We got this story of him finding a federal agent's gun on the pier, picking it up and accidentally shooting a woman. All ridiculous propaganda, all part of the divisive narrative going on in this nation. And that example shows what puppets these people are. Donald Trump's just going out there and saying what his masters tell him to say. That's because the agenda right now is divide and conquer above all else. Donald Trump, again, attacking women, Muslims, Mexicans, blacks, and countless other groups. And worst of all, the media gives him a pass, but not only gives him a pass, also validates him. We get these people who show up on his behalf and speak for him and say how he's the voice of the people and he's saying things people have been wanting to say for years. This is unprecedented. You know, earlier this week, Ben Carson, who's also a Masonic stooge, a fraud, a phony, another puppet out there, he made the remarks that Obama is not really black because he grew up raised by white people in Hawaii, whereas he, Ben Carson, grew up in the hood around black people in Detroit. And anybody who's seen Ben Carson knows he's not very hood-like, and if, I'll just let it be. Whatever. The point is, Ben Carson is being put down by the media for those remarks, saying those are the signs that he's not presidential. And Ben Carson makes controversial remarks. The media says, see, that's proof he's not presidential. But meanwhile, Donald Trump has been very immature, and got nothing but validation. And it's been going on since May of 2015. In fact, in my lifetime, I've never seen anybody get as much media attention as Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been front and center in the mainstream media on all networks since May of 2015. That is now going on 9 months. Every time a major story is broken, we've heard what Donald Trump has to say before the president, before any elected member of Congress, before any notable figure in society. It's been the Donald Trump show. Donald Trump has been shoved down our throats. And why? I mean, what is Donald Trump's background? Game show contestant? The Apprentice? What else? What else has Donald Trump done? Been born into a rich family? You know, Donald Trump a few months back talked about how, you know, he's not much different than anybody else. His father gave him $1 million as a teenager. That's, you know, that's pretty ordinary. That's how he talked about it. This guy does not represent the American people. This is another entitled member of society from the group of haves, and meanwhile, the vast majority of us are from the have-nots. And so many people in the have-nots get lured in to supporting these people who don't give a fuck about them. There's no other way to put it. If you're out there and you support Donald Trump, you've been sucked into a trap. Donald Trump does not care about you. Donald Trump is an egomaniac, self-obsessed, from wealth, and if he does become the ex-president, just another stooge. And besides all those points, Truth Seeker, anytime Donald Trump's asked about what his plan is for America, he has no plan. The only plan that he has talked about is building a wall between the United States and Mexico. An idea from the Republicans and conservatives going back decades. He has no plan on anything. He just talks cheap. I'll make America great again. I'll make people want to invest here. How? He doesn't say how. He says, well, when I get to that point, I'll have my advisors and my committees and we'll figure it out. I mean, what is that, Truth Seeker? Donald Trump has shown that he's a shit talker with no plan. And I don't know how many people in this nation really support him, but I know people that do. You know, I've met a number of people who say they like him. And why do these people like him? Because we're a nation of people who like to be entertained, and Donald Trump's an entertainer, and these people are laughing while he's speaking and having a good time listening to him bash groups that they probably bash themselves. You know, that's what we really have been turned into, a nation of haters, people that love to divide and fight over nothing. And Donald Trump, he's just going to be the icing on the cake for this recipe that's been waged against us as a nation for decades. So, you know, no matter who the president is, the same things, whatever the plan is, it's going to be rolled out. But if it is Donald Trump, the reason he'll be the president is for what he does to us as a people, divides us further, makes us that much easier, much more easily conquered and ruled over. That's what it's all about. You know, keeping us, the masses, enslaved to tyranny, lies, and all things wrong. And that's what Donald Trump stands for. All right, Truth Seekers, until next time. Encore. There's one important point I forgot to make. When Obama first became president, it was Donald Trump who got mainstream media attention in a big way for bringing up the birther argument. Remember, saying that Obama was really from Kenya. That story dominated the first year of the Obama presidency. So there was a lot of Donald Trump at the beginning of the Obama presidency. And now, since last May, which means the final year and a half of the Obama presidency, we've gotten all sorts of Donald Trump coverage. The Obama presidency began with Donald Trump, and it's concluding with Donald Trump. And I don't think that's any coincidence. I think that's all signs of the rigging and how this nation is a staged, pre-planned joke. All right. Until next time.
Okay. And like always, when I play that clip, there's some moron in the chat going, "Oh, you're just regurgitating CNN." It's like, okay, I'm not taking a political side. I'm speaking facts. I mean, that was back in 2016 before he was even the Republican nominee. And since then, there's been all kinds of division. Again, have you ever been to a Trump rally and seen what it looks like? It's chaos. People screaming at each other. I mean, just... in Spokane, Washington, there was a Trump rally on Division Street. You should have seen what it looked like, the people driving by. So I was just waiting for the drive-by to happen. The police had to show up and take people away, and because people either love him or hate him. And it's by design. And all these people are under the spell, like the guy who comes in my chat and thinks that this is some partisan attack. There's no politics over here. I'm showing how the whole fucking game's rigged. Did you miss the beginning of the stream, moron? Where I showed the latest proof of what I just concluded that video with? About how it's a rigged, pre-planned joke. And the reason I'm saying that is because we're exposing shit like this the whole time. Again, how does Biden continue Trump's border wall after he said he wouldn't do it on the day leaving 88 days left in the year, 47 days before Biden's birthday? And you know, with regards to Obama and Trump being there right from the beginning, remember this was Obama's wingman. Obama took office at age 47. Biden was the 47th vice president. Right, the highest degree in the Church of Satan is mega. Another fact. So, but yeah, again, I'd wager that nobody's been more on point, you know, in the entire time I've been here. And we don't really command any respect from people we should command respect from. People who supposedly are about the same things but aren't, obviously. You know. Hey, Pepper Blue, you must have got here late because I already covered that. I already covered the trackdown episode where the con man Trump wants to build a wall in Texas. Yeah. And Pepper Blue's been writing bullshit comments in the chat. You're the type of person who doesn't listen. You're too busy in the chat. You just left a comment and they go, "You're just making up conversations with people that aren't even in here." Hey, moron. I stream on 3 channels at once. When I leave a comment, it goes to all 3 channels. So you couldn't see the comment I was responding to. People are just so fucking dumb. If that's all you can respond is, "Why are you making..." I'm not making up conversations, moron. What would be the point of that? And the next thing is, "Hey, did you know that there's an old show about a con man Trump?" Yeah, I covered it in the video. I bet you were here. Too busy in the chat, not paying attention. That's what's wrong with America. No listening skills. Fucking morons that always want to talk and talk shit for no reason. It's like, you're talking shit and you're just talking bullshit. God. Fucking retard. And you guys, what I just said is the bottom line why there's not enough people behind my work. And why people support frauds like Brian and Anomaly. It's because it's a society of fucking retards. They're not smart enough to know what's legit, even though it's obvious. They think when people talk to them nice and don't cuss, like Brian's always, "Oh, I don't like swear words." I'm sure Brian cusses left and right off stream, but he likes to present this nice, good guy, Mr. Rogers image. I don't trust people like that. Pepper Blue's going to leave the channel and never come back because they got all butthurt. And the reason I don't care about people like that is because I know they're fucking losers. Fucking losers aren't going to help out. I'm looking for real men if they still exist. Real people who want to do something. Not shit-talking losers in the chat, leaving dumb comments at the end. What's next, Rip Van Winkle? Come on, man. Yeah, again, it's like, why doesn't a guy like Anomaly have people making videos about him left and right like they do me? I mean, that guy's just like an egomaniac. He's talking about how pretty he is, how funny he is. It's like... I don't want to be a hater, but I mean, his little song that he plays when he comes on, it's like, dude, you remind me of why hip-hop music sucks dick right now. Comes on with this emasculated little tune. All right, anyway, you guys, a real battle rapper, he'd want to respond back and debate right away. He wouldn't be like, I'm not going to debate that guy because he just thinks his work's so important. Yeah, my work's a million times more fucking important than yours, and we both know it. In fact, you know what? We when we had Tara with us, somebody from her community, because Tara's been around Anomaly, but somebody else from her community reached out to me and she goes, do you know that Anomaly guy's obsessed with you? She said, he always talks about you, in fact, off the record. That's how pathetic these people are. They know about the work, and then they won't bring it up. Fucking frauds, that's why. Anyone who calls me a fraud, you better look into them and see what they're really about. I love all the people that that's the other funny thing. There's people copying my Gematria work, and then they talk about how I'm the fraud. It's like, okay, so you're copying me and saying I'm a fraud. There's a moron who starts every stream that this video is dedicated to Jesus, who lived a perfect 33 years and then died on the cross. And then he gets into right away, Zachary K. Hubbard is definitely a shill because he says sweet lady, which equals 33. It's like, okay, is this guy really this fucking retarded? You just started off with how you worship Jesus, who lived a perfect 33 years, but then I'm a shill because I like the Tyrese song, Sweet Lady, and it reminds me of my sweet lady. I mean, come on, man. You must be a fucking moron. No wonder you think there's a man in the sky who's going to come down and save us. And again, you guys, people get mad at me for saying these things, and again, why do they get mad? It's because they're fucking morons. Not because I'm wrong. You think any man's coming down from the clouds to save us? You got to be a special kind of fucking stupid. So, and yeah, I don't split hairs. I call spades spades, and I keep proving my point. People keep believing bullshit, like men in the clouds and political parties, and put on a cloth mask to save yourself from 99.9% survivable germs that were originally coined as seasonal flu. Again, there's a straight line for why people fall for all this shit. And again, it's because they're fucking dumb. And that's what we're trying to change over here as well. Trying to raise people's intellect, intelligence, knowledge. People don't have to be as dumb as they are. They're as dumb as they are because of the system they grew up in. All right, True Seeker, I'm off to do other things. Lots of other work to do. And until next time.